Welcome to season 11 of the Social Work Rants podcast, providing an inside look of the social work and mental health profession, continuing to discuss social work entrepreneurship, social work being political, and the day to day aspects of the social work profession. Hope you enjoy. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody is doing well out there. Let me get started. I'm not even going to do my spiel I usually do. I want to thank the Commander in Chief, President Donald J. Trump. Don't get me wrong. The stupidity that you cause day in, day out in this country since you took over on Martin Luther King Day, unfortunately, you started that day, has just has given me a lot of talking points to talk about on the podcast. Giving me some topics, I'd be like, I ain't got nothing for this week's episode. And for somebody who try to do weekly episodes of like, oh, Trump did something now I can talk about that reflects and impacts social workers. For that, Mr. President, I thank you because your stupidity that gives me something to talk about. And there's been a lot to talk about since I've last released a podcast episode. Um, Shout out to everybody that's been listening, watching the YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Listen to the podcast, leave comments, reviews. I do write back in the comments, especially if you listen to the podcast on Spotify. I do reply to the comments on the YouTube. So didn't want to get your gas, be like praising the president. So uh, his stupidity and all of the minions, like Speaker Mike Johnson. I can't even say Pence because like where the heck has he been? I remember when Vice President Harris took over. I was one of those people actually. I was like, "Where's VP?" Like this, they got her hitting it, and like they basically got JD Vance hitting. I haven't seen much of him recently. There's a lot to talk about. This week's episode, how you know, as I record this episode, is World Mental Health Day, and Agent Orange, the killer in chief, has been messing up many people's mental health in 2025, and even before then, because even he's been talking trash since he decided to run for president back in 2015. So, um, and I want to give a shout out to Marvin and Marissa. They recently had the state of emergency related to social work this past week. A great call. If they do another one, I encourage all social workers to attend. Is a great sounding board. There's a lot of us are, stressed out. We see whether, however, we consume news. Whether many of us just go on our phone and get traumatized by what we see on Instagram or if we're still on X or on Facebook, however, whatever social media, TikTok, whatever social media app, there's always something negative happening. ICE, arresting folks, people of color. Um, and I say people of color, not just Latino, Latinx folks. By the way, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. It's still Hispanic Heritage Month for another week. But recently, what happened in Chicago overnight, a huge ICE raid took over Black and Brown community in Chicago overnight. Literally got kids and families and zip ties in the middle of the night. Um, you know, many U.S. citizens, even if you're not a U.S. citizen, no human being should be zip tied just for no reason whatsoever. So a lot happening. That happened in Chicago. We got lynching in 2025. College student. His name was Trey Reed, a black student at Delta State University, Mississippi, was found hung, unfortunately, and lynched. And the whole investigation was shady. And thank you, Colin Kaepernick. It has been reported to he paid for a independent investigator in terms of that case. I haven't seen much about it since. There was even like conflicted reports whether Colin Kaepernick actually paid for an independent investigator. But if he did, shout out to him because there's a lot of shady ish happening um, going on. There's a lot happening. Don't see a lot of people talking about it. There's only so much a person can handle negative in a day. Plus, we got our own personal ish happening. Uh, Entrepreneurs being affected by all the DEI cuts and not getting contracts like they were getting, and it's just a lot happening all at the same time. And I mentioned this on, on previous podcast episodes. It's like very eerily similar in some ways to 2020. During COVID, but was a lot happening all at once, and kind of a lot of information overload. It is not something as humans, or can handle, or we were not created to handle all this information or this misinformation that's been thrown out. Just too much happening, two, three, four, five things happening like in one day. Like, did you hear this? Do you hear this? Do you hear this? And it's like, wow, like, you tend to miss like something important, or just like, for me, like, I'm a news buff, but it's like there's only so much you can really take. So definitely on this World Mental Health Day, do whatever works for you. It's okay not to be okay. Uh, Definitely seek the help that you need. Get the help that you need. There's many incredible therapists, black and brown, LGBTQ plus therapists doing amazing things. Call 988. If you got to check yourself in the ER, do that. Whatever your for out of the country listeners and viewers, whatever your emergency line is, definitely reach out, talk to someone, call someone you haven't talked to in a while. Um, it's just a lot that's happening. Um, a lot of good things, been happening as well. Shout out to the Latino Mental Health Association of New Jersey had a gala. Um, Based on what I saw the pictures, it looked like a great event. There's a lot of people doing good work out in these streets, uh, and more of that is definitely needed. Um, Folks, uh, talk a little bit briefly about the Affordable Care Act, the ACA Marketplace, Obamacare. I use all that interchangeably. Um, don't let your politics affect you from getting good health care. Or these, the tax incentives of that are that help uh, the premiums not being so damn high. They are scheduled to end at the end of the year, and uh, which is part of why the government is shut down currently. I forgot what day we're in. I think we're like day day 10 of the shutdown or close to it. Um, but how are we going to pay for, or many people trying to budget to apply for ACA if people don't even know if the all those tax incentives are going to be continued for next year, 2026. So it's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of unknowns, and people are living like with a lot of uncertainty. Um, just like us, like the workers, like social workers, mental health professionals, and then we dealing with our clients, how in all these different areas that we work in, like schools never, they it's like COVID never happened, and it's like do this, do this, do this, do this, and it's like what the heck. Um, people, we're seeing the aftermath of COVID. I know I've talked to many families who are you know have issues paying their rent, having issues paying their mortgage, their light bill, and unfortunately, all these things, these utility bills going up, inflation, we're still dealing with inflation, um, just everything going up except the check. So, um, and I know people talk about, you got to upskill, and however that looks like for you, but you got to think of the day-to-day, day in day out struggles of folks, and people are really struggling out there, and we are I know I'm seeing it firsthand. I'm no I'm seeing people not taking their kids to the doctor's office for physicals or needed immunization shots for fear of ICE coming to the medical clinic. So um, it's just things like that people were scared or anxious, worried, and a lot has to do with what's happening in the White House. A lot, all these red states that continue to do harm to folks, and social work is political, and we have to call it out when we see it. Try to address it, or at least have conversations with folks. So like, hey, this is what we're seeing. This is what we are observing. This is what we do on a day-to-day basis. Like, we need assistance on how to address these issues. And with more and more cuts are happening, which leads to less and less resources, and we're unable to really serve our clients how we want to serve. So, which continues the rabbit hole of people having uh, mental health issues, depression and anxiety at an all-time high, and the government has failed us, the people, have never properly addressed the what the aftermath of the pandemic, really looks like. Um, the school systems, like I said, like acting like COVID never existed. Um, Even on threads, like the other day, like a principal I follow, and then I, I think the post was like, what is something that's been like bothering you like recently, and then something another like that, and I responded like what I just said was the government has failed to acknowledge the aftermath of the pandemic. Many schools act like the pandemic never existed, and I got confirmation like that principal is going through like the same thing. So like 5 years later, and it's like what are we doing with these kids? Um, just it's just a lot that's happening, and I know I'm rambling with the comments. Is just like so damn much is happening, and it's frustrating, is annoying, is like kind of I guess the government wants to make you feel helpless, and at some point you do feel helpless. You know, a job I had, previously is like, a client comes up to me is like, I need housing, and like I'm literally like shrugging my shoulders. Is like, I can't help you. There's no housing resources where the location of where I work at. So like how I'm supposed to help somebody find housing, or there's no such resources, not even like shelters or anything I could make a referral to. So it's just a lot, and I'm afraid it's gonna get worse before it gets better unless something drastic happens, and I don't know what that is. Kind of scared to even think of what that might even look like, but something needs to be done, and I would love to see us mental health workers, social workers, uh, talk and share more information of what they're seeing. I'm definitely opening up to invitation for any social workers who love. I would love to know boots on the ground, what is happening in your particular location. Let's take it back to June of 2020, and like when I was first interviewing guests. Uh, what are you seeing boots on the ground uh, that I'm not going to get on my local news? I'm not going to get it. We're definitely not going to get it on CNN, MSNBC anymore, because so much has changed within the 5 years that all these news channels are kind of pointless. Uh, if I want to get like real factual news, there's places I could go, a podcast that I can listen to get what I need to know to stay informed. But what is happening, boots on the ground, where you are at, that's affecting your work as a social worker, and how our clients are being affected with everything that's going on, and and where you at. So, the invitation is open. Come through. Let's make it happen. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's kick it, and let's stay informed, and let's inform other folks, because it's definitely needed. Um, on a positive note, I did want to shout out to everyone that attended my live podcast event in New York City, in Queens, New York. It was a great time. I'm like literally last night, as of this recording, I got the first draft of the video. It came out really really good. I got to see the rest of the video. Did a financial presentation in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, intersection of mental health and finances. Shout out to Ponce Bank, who sponsored the event. Shout out to Dr. LaShawn Paul, with her 501c3, Redefine Strong. Dr. Paul was a previous guest on the podcast a couple years ago. So, she came through with allowing me to use her 501c3 to get the sponsorship. And for the people who attended, thank you so much for coming through. Not trying to plan an event until at least Social Work Month, 2026, or Mental Health Awareness Month in May. It's a lot of work, and asking people for money in this economy is a lot of work. So I'm glad I did it, and definitely was a vibe. So shout out to those who attended. On that note, stay strong, mi gente, one day at a time. If you're definitely reach out, talk to somebody, and stay safe. Talk soon.